You're watching Global Watch on CGTN. U.S. climate change envoy John Kerry has wrapped up talks with his Chinese counterpart Xie Zhenhua in the northern Chinese city of Tianjin. The two discussed policies and actions on climate change. China said it has set up a leading group to achieve its goals of peaking carbon dioxide emissions by 2030 and achieving carbon neutrality by the year 2060. The U.S. said it's aiming to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 50 to 52% from 2005 levels and achieve zero carbon power by 2035 and net zero greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2050. Both sides recognized the significance of cooperation on climate change issues and agreed to push forward pragmatic actions. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi also met with Kerry via video. During the talks, the U.S. side likened Beijing and Washington's cooperation on climate change to a metaphorical oasis amid tensions in ties. But Wang Yi said this oasis can run dry and fail if it continues to be surrounded by the desert of irreconcilable differences on other issues. China's carbon reduction goal was first outlined during Chinese President Xi Jinping's speech at the UN General Assembly session last year. The country's aim is to peak carbon emissions before 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality before 2060. The targets are also emphasized in China's 14th five-year plan for economic and social development. China is making great strides in energy reform. Although coal still accounts for most of China's energy consumption, China has been trying to diversify its sources of power, giving priority to clean electricity. Data shows non-fossil energy increased from 9% in 2012 to 15% in 2019. Now, for more insights, let's cross live to Professor Guan Dabo from Tsinghua University. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor. So let's start with the Chinese side. China has outlined a 1+N policy system for carbon neutrality. Tell us more about this policy.
Okay, thank you. Basically, the policy system consists of two parts. So that one is that the National Development and Reform Commission in China is working with relevant departments, the government department, to formulate a top-level design. It's going to be a top-level design document which will serve as an action plan for emission peak in 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2060. The N part is going to be a series of implementation plans issued by various of ministries and relevant bodies to publish standards, guidelines, targets, sort of time targets or targets in different timelines, and including also financial and economic mechanisms and a detailed pathway to how to achieve the emission peak and neutrality in the required timelines. So basically, the 1+N is a policy system, formulates a comprehensive policy system to guarantee the delivery for China's climate targets.
And Professor, China and U.S. talked about collaborations or possible collaborations in the green and low carbon sector. So any specific projects in your mind?
Sure. I think the first thing that I want to emphasize is that the stress, kind of strong on the close collaborations between China and U.S. in the field of climate change mitigation is beneficial for both countries, because both countries are the largest emitters in the world, and also the benefit for the whole humankind, because they are the leading powers in the global world, and such collaborations is going to be beneficial for the whole humankind. And also, I want to say that the cooperation should be self-motivated. It's not like from the third forces. It should be self-motivated, encouraged, and achieved via different or various approaches. Those collaborative areas should be multiple and covered by many sectors. So So I have a few examples can be here. First things is can be kind of a joint leadership in climate governance. As I said, both countries they are the global powers in the world. They should jointly lead the climate mitigation globally, and also help the more other developing countries to decelerate their emissions and to eventually achieve emission reduction or the carbon neutrality for the whole kind. And the second part, it can be try to establish the China-US low carbon technology innovation hub, and then trying to establish some like a demonstration of pilot projects. There were some of wonderful programs such as the joint U.S.-China cooperation on clean energy, or like a U.S.-China Clean Energy Forum. Those kind of things was being paused during Trump administrations, but now Biden's administrations, we can think about to restart it and then to re-establish them. The other things that can be, for example, promote joint research in zero or negative emission technologies. National science foundations in China and the U.S., they are the powerful agencies. They provide funding for that. They should play a key role to promoting such joint research and mutual visits and communications. There will also should be the subnational level cooperations, like across like states and province. Those can be much more substantial. For example, trying to establish some joint experiments, trying to explore how the zero emission smart city program can be developed, how to do the joint standards for electric cars, and there's so many different things for different states and provinces in China and the U.S. they could work together. And then both China and the U.S. have the carbon market, national carbon market. We should also explore what can be done for the global carbon market, but not necessarily simply just put one unique like a global carbon market, but with respect of the characters of different needs and requirements for the carbon market within China and the U.S.
Indeed, that leads to common but differentiated responsibilities. Thank you very much, Professor Guan Dabo from Tsinghua University.